Selling the dream starts with telling the dream. You have a dream, you have a vision, you have a picture of where you want to go. You have a strategy. Selling the dream starts with telling the dream. You have a dream, you have a vision, you have a picture of where you want to go. You have a strategy, you have a perception of how the culture ought to be built. Who is part of this? The essence of leadership is enrollment. Enrollment means that the people who are working for you aren't doing it because they want a salary in exchange for compliance. It means that they're doing it because they share the dream. They want to go where you want to go. They want to go there with an attitude and a culture that you have. Enrollment is missing from every dysfunctional organization. Every organization, particularly ones as they get bigger, end up having A people hiring B people and B people hiring C people and C people just waiting to be told what to do. And then you get entrenched conservative mindsets and people who don't want to change. And then you get the whole thing just falls apart. There really aren't any C people. There are merely people who don't match where you're trying to go. There are merely people who haven't chosen to enroll in the journey. So I have a couple things to say about this enrollment process. The first one is this. You should try to find round people to fit in your round holes and square people to fit into your square holes, because the act of choosing who you hire will drive so much of what you do going forward. And saying, well, I'll just change them doesn't really work. It's way more effective to find people who have not just the skills, not just the resume, but the attitude and the posture that shows that they are enrolled in where you seek to go. Not just the external event, but what's it like around here? What's it like to come to work here every day? Those people, the people you can manage to tell a story to that matches their worldview, they're precious. So let's talk for a minute about worldview. George Lakoff coined the term. It means the biases and the expectations that people bring to everything they do. If you think you're going to get ripped off, you act a certain way. If you're trustworthy, you act a certain way. If you think that person won the debate and I think this person won the debate, we're both right, because we're carrying around filters, things we believe. Your story only resonates with people for whom the worldview matches what you created the story for. So if you're running a nonprofit and you're trying to raise $1 million, some investors, donors say, my worldview is I want to invest in something new, something audacious, something bold that hasn't been besmirched by reality yet. So you could tell that story to this person. This person over here who works at the Rockefeller Foundation says to herself, if I invest in something flaky, I'm going to get fired. I want to invest in something proven. I want to invest in something trusted. Well, you can build an organization that appeals to either one of those people, but you better do it on purpose. If you think about hiring folks, if you go to MTV, MTV is filled with 20-somethings who want to make a mark in media. They're looking for a funky kind of place. You know what? Most of what people do at MTV is the same thing that they do everywhere else. Move piles of paper from one place to another. But you could build a culture of a kind of person. And then within that culture, you have the challenge of figuring out how to get people who are enrolled momentarily and push them to stay enrolled. That once someone is enrolled in what you are building, what's in it for them? Well, it turns out that the last thing that's in it for them is money. That we know this from General Electric and we know it from nonprofits. That money is a demotivator. Once you're paying people enough, everything above that starts to get in the way of their belief system, get in the way of why they're there in the first place. No, there are much more difficult things that you need to do to reward people who have chosen to be enrolled. The first thing is people want to be seen. They want to know that you know that they are there. They want their co-workers to miss them if they are gone. This ability to be seen, to be needed, to be present is in all of us. Right next to that is the freedom to do work that matters. The freedom to make choices. People go to work for money, for a manager, and give up the right to make choices. They do that because they're desperate. They can't get anything better. But from you, a leader, we can get something better. And what we can get is a leader who treats us with dignity. The dignity that says, I trust you. The dignity that says, once we are together enrolled in where we are going, and once we know what it's like around here, that we have a culture that we share, then yes, please take the wheel, drive. I'm going to go over there and do something else. That when we give people a chance to grow, a chance to level up, to go where they want to go next, they stay. And they bring their best work to us, for us, with us, because we're doing this together. They're not doing it for us. But if the only thing you can come up with is, I'll give you $10, you've lost. Because the culture of, I'll give you $10 is the culture of Wall Street. It's the culture of, don't worry about what we're doing, just think about how much money you're making. Money is just a stand-in. Money is the last vestige of the leader who can't think of a better story, who can't think of something more important to do than give somebody cash. We're able to create significant change in the world, but we have to do it in a way that scares us, not just by moving piles of money from one place to another. Think about this. Who are you treating with this dignity, with this respect, with this understanding that if you get out of their way and give them the tools they need, they will be able to make a difference? My friend and colleague Ben Zander tells the following story. A visiting dignitary is sitting in the Prime Minister's office. After a couple minutes of chit-chat, the door flies open and a guy runs in, raising his voice, freaking out. It's an urgency, it's an emergency. And the Prime Minister quietly says, David, don't forget Rule 6. David catches his breath, settles down and says thank you and leaves. About 5 minutes later, it happens again. The door flies open. This time a woman comes in. Her hair is on fire. She's jumping up and down, tripping on her heels, can't stop talking, just filled with all this excitement of negative energy. And the Prime Minister interrupts her and says, Marcia, don't forget Rule 6. She catches her breath, walks out the door, and the dignitary turns to the Prime Minister and says, all right, I don't get it. What's going on here? What's Rule 6? And the Prime Minister looks him in the eye and says, oh, it's simple. Don't take yourself so damn seriously. Here's the thing. The rule is not don't take the problem seriously. It's don't take yourself so seriously. The fact is there's a lot on the line. Your dream, your vision, your culture, your people, everything that you are trying to put together as a leader, all on the line every single day. And every single day, something threatens to bring it all crashing down. All of it, just worthless. So yeah, it's pretty easy to take yourself awfully seriously. But there's zero evidence that taking yourself seriously helps you take the problem seriously. There's no evidence that freaking out because you are about to be judged, because you are about to be seen as a fraud, because you are about to lose everything, makes you do a better job of solving the problem. So one little piece of advice I have for you, this is the shortest of the 9 things I wanted to talk about, is this. As you build your culture, as you go on your mission, as you think about what it means to lead, the question is it necessary to violate Rule 6 in order to get there? But how can you possibly lead if you're not in charge? Some of the examples we've talked about today are about people who have started something from scratch, who have shown up and said, follow me. But most people don't fit into that category. Most of us have a boss. Is it possible to lead without being on top? Does management mean that you can't also lead? I think the two key words here are authority and responsibility. That management, a culture of management, teaches us that what we need in order to get other people to do what we want is authority. Give us a badge, give us a gun, give us a tower to stand upon, give us the authority to tell people what to do. In fact, authority doesn't take you very far. Authority works in the military, authority works in a few other places, but authority is rarely sufficient to get enrollment, to get people to dance on the edge of possibility. No, there's another word here that we've overlooked, and that word is responsibility. That when you take responsibility, because remember, you're given authority, but you can take responsibility. When you take responsibility, when you say, it's on me, people are eager to see what will happen next. And so, regardless of where you are in the organization, you have the chance to step up. So I'll tell you, give you a couple examples from one of my favorite organizations, Acumen. Catherine Casey came up through the Fellows Program at Acumen. No authority, no title. She decided that it was important that Acumen have a presence in Ghana. So she got on a plane and went to Ghana with no authority, merely on spec to see what she could build. And then she did it again in South America. Joanne Tan saw that after the Blue Sweater book came out, that people all around the world wanted to figure out how to help. She said, I will take responsibility for building these chapters. And then she said, I will take responsibility for building out Plus Acumen. These are the acts of people who have not been anointed, who did not ask for a lot of permission because they were willing to do all of the things we've already described. They were willing to paint a picture of the future. They were willing to say, these are the trade-offs. I can have this, but I can't have that. And mostly, they were willing to take responsibility. You may have heard me tell you the story of Nathan Winograd before. Nathan Winograd went to the SPCA in San Francisco, back when the humane societies and SPCAs in this country were killing 4 million dogs and cats every year. Nathan Winograd was not in charge. Nathan Winograd had no authority. He had no budget. He had no title. But he cared. He had a vision. He could describe where he wanted to go. He couldn't get the other humane societies to opt in. He couldn't get everyone at the San Francisco SPCA to help him, but he could reach out to the public. Not to all of them, not to many of them, just enough. Enough people whose worldview made it easy for them to enroll in the journey he wanted to go on. And within 100 days, San Francisco became a no-kill shelter. No healthy animal has been killed since that day in San Francisco. Because one man didn't do it himself. He said, I'll take responsibility for this. He said, I don't need authority. I'll take responsibility. So as you think hard about where you are and why you're there, wonder what would happen if you would take what's on offer, which is responsibility. Certain failure. So we're almost done. We're 8 out of 9 are the way in, and yet you're sure it's not for you. Yet you wonder about the tactic. Yet you're concerned that you're never going to be able to pull this off. And you know why? Because whatever it is you seek to do, you will fail. You're not going to fail all the time. You're not going to fail with everyone, but with someone, you will fail. You will go to a meeting where you are turned down. You will try to make a sales call where the answer is no. You will try to enroll someone who doesn't get the idea, doesn't get the joke. And if you want to, you can look at that and say, that's a failure. I'm a failure. This doesn't work. I should go back and hide. If you want to, you can go into the world and say, I'm only willing to do things that are going to work for everyone and with everyone. And if that's your posture, then you definitely have failed. Because nothing succeeds with everyone. Nothing makes everyone change their mind. Nothing that we do has a chance of being unanimously accepted. That the act of leadership involves looking certain failure straight in the eye and being okay with that. Because our job is to make a dent in the universe. And we make that dent in the universe by drawing a picture of where we want to go, by enrolling people who want to be on the bus with us, by eagerly challenging them to take responsibility, to give away credit, just as you need to give away credit over and over again in the service of getting to where you want to go. But no, you can't do it without failing. Failure is certain. Are you okay with that?